Welcome everyone to today's webinar on Prospero financial reporting, budgeting, and analysis. Glad you all could join me today. Got a few slides to go through before I actually jump into Prospero with you. First, let me start off with a little bit about our company, the MSX Group. We started this company back in 2009 as a service company handling the financial reporting and budgeting software solutions from Microsoft Dynamics. Namely, that was Management Reporter, Microsoft Forecaster, and Microsoft FRX. And then pretty much right after we started this company, we started development on Prospero. We rolled it out first with financial reporting, and about a year after that, we added budgeting in there as well. So plenty of years of experience working on financial reporting and budgeting solutions in the Dynamics community, as well as outside of the Microsoft Dynamics community. We hook up to several general ledger solutions out there. If we do not have your GL listed on our website for integrations, send us an email. We'll be glad to look at an integration for your particular ERP solution. For a few bullet points about Prospero, this is your financial reporting and budgeting solution for your organization. You'll use this for all of your financial statements and your budgeting, although we do sell those as separate modules. A few back-end points here about Prospero: integrations to your general ledger ERP solution. We have that scheduled to automatically go out and copy any new accounts, any new account balances, dimension IDs from your general ledger over to Prospero. All of the accounts and transaction level details as well. And that is scheduled on the SQL database side, so that runs on an automated schedule. For implementations, we have a wide variety of implementation options. You can have everything for Prospero installed locally. That includes Prospero's SQL database, IIS, and any client installations. You can have everything installed on the MSX Group cloud servers, or anybody else's cloud servers that you're using, or any mix of those, any hybrid implementations. So we're glad to work out where all those different pieces are installed for your company. And we do sell Prospero as a perpetual license option or as an annual subscription option. For reporting in Prospero, we tailor this to handle all of your financial statements, your income statements, balance sheet statements, cash flow statements, trial balance statements, and any other general ledger schedules you want to pull together, as well as pulling in any data from Excel spreadsheets, like maybe budget data you might have in Excel or statistics, and we can use those in reports inside Prospero. The reports, we have account and transaction level detail pages for those that report data. You can just double click on a row and drill down to those individual pages. See exactly what account numbers and dimensions all the balances are posted to and all the transactions that make up those balances. And we also have built-in dynamic charts and graphs for all of the reports that we set up inside Prospero. So you can look at these reports in the numeric layout, as well as any charts and graphs. And the charts and graphs, they're dynamic because they're not just static representations of that data. You can actually double click and drill down through the charts and graphs to the lower levels of details. I'll be looking at budgeting with you in Prospero as well. We have budgeting input screens set up inside Prospero as spreadsheet style user input screens, rows and columns. So if you have budget managers that are currently doing their budgets in Forecaster or in Excel spreadsheets, it is an easy transition from those applications over to Prospero. We've got detail input screens to handle budgeting for human resource details and for capital details, to help you calculate all of your wages, taxes, and benefits for all of your employees, and booking new cost, new asset acquisitions, and projecting depreciation expense for those new assets. Users can add notes to any of their input screens to help validate those balances they're typing in for the budget. They can add line item details to break down those details into smaller amounts. And as soon as their budget managers click the save icon on their input screens, all those balances for the budget are stored in Prospero's SQL database, and they are consolidated right away and available for reporting inside Prospero right away against any other data set that you've got inside Prospero, as far as last year's actuals from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, last year's budget or forecast. Any data set you've got inside Prospero is immediately available for reporting against this new budget data. You don't have to go and export your Excel data, budget data from Prospero to Excel and import it into your GL or any other system. It's all right inside Prospero, where you're handling your reporting as well as your budgeting. So that is just a quick high-level overview of what we're going to be looking at inside the application with you today. So let me jump over to Prospero with you. All right, on my screen, I'm going to start off with our quick launch window and just hide this left-hand navigation panel. I have a quick launch for this individual user I'm logged in as. On the left-hand side, I have several tiles here for different reports or different charts or graphs that I'll run on a regular basis. I also have a section right here in the middle for the tiles for my budget 2024 input screens and some quick link tiles on the right. I'm going to use our monthly income statement as an example for reporting. And once I go through the reporting piece, then we'll look at the budgeting inside Prospero. For running reports, I just click that tile once. This brings up my prompt window. And before I click OK to actually start running this report, I'll go through and select some different prompts. Like I will run this for our US company, company 1, all departments. And I'm going to use a summary for our location codes, a total company by region. I've got a summary tree summarizing those into a consolidated total. And just let me show you in this pop-up box how that summary looks. I've got a, East, South, West, and Midwest regions, and then the individual locations rolling up into those. So we have summary trees for all of our accounts, companies, and any of your other segments or dimensions that you can use when you're running reports. And you can also reference any of these summaries in any rows of your reports, any columns of your reports, and for input as well. I'll check the date that I want to run this report for, what year, what period. My output options. I'm going to send this to my screen, my workspace here. It'll open up in a new tab for me. But I could just right away send this out to the printer, send it to Excel, PDF, or as a published report. Published reports is our way of archiving the reports that we generate. You might run an income statement 50 times in 1 month. You just run an income statement, see how the numbers look, go back and make new changes or entries inside your GL. But at some point, you're going to finalize all those balances in your GL, and you're going to be ready to run this report and give it out or distribute it to everybody else at your company. Publishing is our way of saving that last set of numbers so that you know on this particular date and time, these are the numbers that I ran the report and got and then handed out to everybody at the company. It's a static copy for that last version of the report. All right, running this report, this opens up in a new tab for us. I've got, Quick Launch is still open as a separate tab here, easy to jump back and forth. When you build your reports, you decide what every column represents. I've got description column on the left, actual balances, budget balances, dollar variances, and percent variances. All those are detailed in my column definition for this report. I've got a line set detailing everything from my revenue header row all the way down through net income. That includes all my header rows, my underline rows, my subtotals, any calculations there as well. And those are tied together in the report definition itself. You control all the fonts, the background shading for any of your reports, underlining. I only have a few columns here in this report. You can have as many columns in your reports as you need and as many rows in these reports as you need to as well. So really flexible about building boardroom quality financial statements for your organization. Drill down for these reports is available for account and transaction level details. So if I double click on any of these rows here, I can drill down to the next level of detail, which would be the account level detail pages. So if I double click on salaries, this opens up in a new tab, the account level detail, showing me all the account numbers, location, and departments that all these balances are posted to. So easy to drill down to the account level detail pages. And if I double click on any of the account rows, I'll drill down to the transaction level details for that balance. And every one of those double clicks opened up a new tab here for us, so easy to jump back and forth. All right, let me close out of a couple of these tabs here. Now back to my first report that I ran. Summarizing any of these balances is easy as well. So instead of just drilling down to the account level detail for that row, I could also go in here and say, let me summarize my balances by any of my companies or other segments or dimensions. If I go to change drill down order, I'll just drag and say I want to summarize all these balances by location. I'll drag that to the top of the window here, click OK. And now if I double click on salaries, instead of account level detail, I can see that this is summarized by my regions. So I have about $30,000 posted to the South region, about $49,000 to the West, about $63,000 for the Midwest. So easy to summarize any of this drill down by any of your companies or any of your segments or dimensions, just by using that change drill down order option up top. We have easy navigation for your screens here, scroll bar on the right, easy to go up and down there. You've got the go-to option in the ribbon. Lets me jump to any row in this report. Really handy if you have a very lengthy report. I can jump all the way to the bottom, all the way back to the top. I looked at drill down to the account level detail and to the transaction level details. That is a great way to analyze that data. You could also, though, instead of double click on individual rows to get to the account level detail, you might want to have one report page where all the account details are broken out on one page. That's an easy step inside Prospero. I've got an icon on the ribbon for full account detail. I'll just click that icon once. This will go through, pull all that report data into a separate tab, and it shows me all the individual accounts for every row in that report. So all my sales are broken out, all my sales returns are broken out by account numbers, all my cost of goods sold are broken out separately, all on one page. And that's for any report you build inside Prospero. When I ran this report, I opened it up in the numeric report format. So all the numbers here. You could also look at this in charts and graphs. So any report data that you are looking at on the screen, you can also go to the top and select display as chart. So I have this one set up as a pie chart display for my actual versus budget data. I've got actuals on the left, budget on the right here. I've got a little legend on the far right hand side. If I hover my cursor over any parts of the pie, it pops up, shows me what that data represents. The blue is for net revenue, about 1.4 million, or about 77% of the total of this pie here. Same thing on the left for the red part of the pie. Total expenses, about $420,000, about 22% of the total there. And you do have drill down on these charts and graphs inside Prospero. So if I double click on total expenses, that drills down through that part of the pie and shows me where those balances came from. I can see it's from the Midwest, East, South, and all the dollars and percentages for that breakdown. Now, the same way I changed the drill down order for my numeric report format, I can change the drill down order for the charts and graphs in here as well. So let me go back to the previous pie chart. I'll go back to the top and select change drill down order. And let's go back to account level detail. I'll take this back to the top. So when I double click on total expenses this time, it'll be very cluttered, but that's okay because I can clean that up as I'm looking at the new pie chart that opens up. And this one will have all the individual accounts broken out to their own pieces of the pie. And we have a lot of account balances that have very small balances. So this one will be very cluttered. I'll just double click on total expenses. but it's easy for me to clean this up, summarize all of these accounts. So let's say I want to summarize all the small balances for anything that's less than 5% of the total pie. I'll just go to options up top and check the box that says group small slices. Quick way to clean up that data. Everything smaller than 5% of that total pie was put into one piece of the pie now. So it's easy for me to see that the larger balances came from supplies, overtime, bonus money, salaries. So easy to analyze that data, changing the drill down order, drilling down through the account of the numeric report format or through your charts and graphs. I mentioned earlier that any report you generate, you can send those to the screen, out to the printer, Excel, PDF. You can do that also after you have run the reports. At the top, I've got icons to send this report to the printer, PDF, or to Excel, or that publish option, which lets me save a copy of this report, a static copy, so that these are the numbers that I know I released on this particular date and time. And if I go to publish, this is for 2022 data. Publish reports also gives us an option to add some online collaboration between anybody who should have access to this data. It adds an annotation panel on the right-hand side for adding notes to this report. So if I click one time on any row here, I've got actual to budget. It might be where I need to go through here and explain any high dollar variances. Just click that add button, type in my supporting details here. Click OK to save that note to this published report. So that adds a little blue square on the left-hand side of that row. If I put my cursor over that blue square, it pops up, shows me the last note that was added, the text. And on the right-hand side in annotations, I can see the text that I typed in for the note, the user ID I'm logged in as the admin user, and the date and time that note was added. And then anyone else who has access to this published report, they can see my notes and they can add their notes as well. So a great way to add collaboration right here inside Prospero. You don't have to email reports between people, wait for those to come back to you. It's all inside Prospero's application as a published report. Now, when I ran this report earlier, I ran it for total company by region. It runs for all those regions that were in that summary tree for locations. I can, though, go in here and I have a option on the right-hand side, a sidebar for prompts, and I can run this report for anything else that was included in that summary of locations. So if I wanted the East region's income statement, I just highlight that. If I wanted the South region, highlight that one as well. And if I wanted New York in that total as a separate report, just highlight those three. Click this icon to run those three other reports, and those will open up for us in 3 new tabs here. So that's just going through each of those 3 separate reports. So this tab here, this is from our South region. This tab here is for our New York Tech Center. This tab opened up for our East region. And then this is the tab where I first started with the first consolidated total. So easy reporting inside Prospero, easy to build these report definitions with a column definition and a line set for every report that you build. Let me close out a couple of tabs here for us. I am going to look at our budget input options next with you. So switching gears a little bit here, go to the quick launch tab and let's talk about budgeting. So I have a input screen set up for our 2024 budget input. I'll click this tile and this will open up the prompt window asking this user what company I want to budget for, what location I want to budget for, Denver Services, and what department. I'll do 100 administration. And click OK to open up this budget input screen. And this is a spreadsheet style user input screen, rows and columns. but it is not Excel based. This is all custom built right inside Prospero. I've got this one set up for account numbers and description on the left, January through December columns, year to date, prior year actuals, and then some variance columns on the right for comparison. Going down the page here, I've got some blue header rows. I have some account rows that are in gray that are locked from input. Can't change those here directly. I've got some subtotal rows. White rows are available for input, and my green rows are additional rows of line item details. Now, this is our main input tab for this budget manager. It may be the only input screen this manager needs. They'll just go through this process, changing the balances, just type in balances here for any of these rows that are available for input, copy and paste, copy those balances across several columns if they need to. This is set up so that if those balances should be included in calculations, they'll be run automatically. And once I save this or leave this tab, it all gets stored in Prospero's SQL database. Now, I can also add additional information to this input screen as far as notes. I've got an annotation panel on the right-hand side, the same kind of annotation panel we had in that published report. And I've already got two notes that have been added by different users on different dates for this one particular row. And I've got blue squares on the left-hand side for rows that have got notes already added. So they can add notes to any of these rows to help explain their entries. The green rows are for line details. So if your budget managers wanted to add additional rows instead of just typing in a balance directly to an account row, they can go into any row here, right-click, and insert line items. That adds a new green row for this section, this account, tuition reimbursement. And just type over the label. And enter in those balances. And all those green rows are additional rows that your budget manager can add themselves. They do not have to ask the administrator to add any new rows here for them. And it doesn't cause any problems with your consolidation of the save process, because these green rows of line item details, they are summarized and posted to the account right above that row, which really drives the consolidation process. Now, the main input tab here may be the only tab that your budget managers need for input, but we do have two additional tabs. They're optional, but they do come in handy for your budgeting process. I've got a tab at the top for human resources and one for capital. If you have budget managers that should not have access to these two tabs, they won't even see the tabs here at the top. So looking at the tab for human resources, every row here is an existing employee for the organization that we would have imported from your payroll system. So your budget manager go through here, make any changes to these details, add details for new hires for next year as well. We're tracking FTEs per month for each individual employee, or hours per month for each individual employee, their annual pay rate or their hourly pay rates. Going to the right, we have a lot of columns that we can handle to track pay changes throughout the year, just what percentage of that pay change is going to be and what period that should take effect. We have bonuses that can be paid out by a percentage of their earnings or as a fixed dollar amount. We can specify what period those get paid out to those employees. And over to the right, we have additional columns to handle calculations for overtime, commissions, and benefit calculations and benefits and taxes. So I've got a state column, health code column, workers' comp to help figure out what tax rates or benefit rates should apply to different employees. And all the information on this tab is used to calculate the budget numbers for all these employees, all their wages, taxes, and benefits. And we've got those set up to show up on the main tab as well. And on the main tab, they just show up in the gray rows that are locked from input. They can't change the dollars here for salaries or bonuses or overtime here directly. All these balances are coming from that tab for human resources. And pretty much the majority of our clients will set up the human resource tab for budgeting. It's an easy setup process, easy to bring in your existing employees, and it's easy for your budget managers to make changes right here on this tab. The same idea applies for the capital tab. It's optional. If they should not have access to capital, they will not even see the tab here up top. Every row here is a different individual asset or group of assets. We just tell this page the price per individual asset, how many they plan to purchase, and this data books the cost to the cost account and projects depreciation expense for these assets as well. Now, these would be for new budget assets, not your existing assets. So 2 built-in tabs that you have the option to set those up to handle these 2 functions inside Prospero for your budgeting process. But again, you may just need the main tab for budget input. And when you go through, you're doing your budget process, you could have one template that is shared by every department. Every budget manager has the same list of accounts, same calculations, but you could have a different list of accounts and different calculations if you need to by department. So if I go to the top and select reopen input, let me switch from administration to department 200 for sales. This opens up a new tab for a new department's budget. I'll have the same columns, but I will have a different line set listing out a different set of account numbers and calculations. So for our sales departments, we are using an account to store units per month. We're tracking price per unit for each month, and we're using those to calculate the revenue dollars and related cost of goods sold and any other related expenses for the sales department. So easy to have different templates for different departments set up inside Prospero if you need to. And we also have some budget accounts that we have set up, like Z101. We're using it to track the statistics for units per month. Z102 is a budget account in Prospero. We're using to track price per unit. These are budget accounts that we set up just inside Prospero. They do not exist back in the GL, so they just reside here in Prospero to help us break down our calculations. Now, your budget manager goes through the budgeting process, makes the changes here they need to make, and as soon as they are finished, they click the save icon at the very top left here, and that will store all these balances and details inside Prospero's SQL database, the same database that everybody at your organization would use. Also, all these balances are consolidated as soon as they click that save button. And all this data is available for reporting. All these balances are available for the reporting against any other data set, against prior year actuals, prior year budget, prior forecast, or any other data set you've got set up inside Prospero. You don't have to export anywhere. You don't have to consolidate manually. It's all done as soon as they click that save button. All right, so great overview there for the budgeting process inside Prospero. Easy input for your budget managers, easy for your budget administrator to manage the system. You can have as many different budget versions set up inside Prospero as you need to, and as many forecast versions as you need to. We've got wizards that will help you through the process, like if you do an original budget and then you want to copy that to a new forecast version, that's an easy one-page copy inside Prospero. I'll just go to Tools and then Copy Plan. On the left-hand side, where am I copying from? On the right-hand side, where am I copying to? And that can copy over just account balances, but it could also copy all of those green line item detail rows from the original budget to the new forecast, as well as the details from human resources and from capital. One page here to make that copy process from that original budget to that new forecast input screen. few other bells and whistles I want to mention inside Prospero with you before we wrap up for this session. Close out of this tab here. Stuff like reporting, if I go to the home tab up top left, I've got an option for catalog view. Great way for you to keep track of all of your report definitions inside Prospero. Every row here is a different report definition. Easy for me to see right here inside this window what line set these reports use, what column sets they use, sort by any of these columns, when these reports were created, when they were last modified by who, and when they were last generated and by who, or published to. So a lot of great information right here in one window to see a view of all of your report definitions. We're also actively adding bells and whistles to Prospero, constantly updating it to help our clients out in the field. And if you are a user of Prospero and you want to send something our way, right here inside Prospero on the ribbon, we've got feedback and support. I'll click this. This brings up that window for feedback and support. And you can send us, just filling in a few fields here, any suggestions about the product you want to send to us, report any issues to us, or start a support request. And whatever you submit with this pop-up box here for feedback and support goes to everybody here at MSX Group in support and everybody in development as well. So the next person in the queue just grabs that message and works the call or issue here. So great to have an easy way for you to use Prospero and contribute support and feedback to us. Now, when I started, I ran this report for the income statement from my quick launch, which might be all that some of your users need as they go through the reporting and budgeting process. But we do have the main navigation panel on the left-hand side. I'll just open this up for us. I'm not going to run through all these, but I've got buttons for the different areas inside Prospero for our published reports. They all are displayed at the top of that panel. All of our report definitions, they're all displayed at the top of that panel. Same thing for every line set we use for our report and our input screen definitions, column sets, trees, organizing all of our companies and segments inside Prospero, and everything else you would need to manage Prospero. I just usually hide this on the left-hand side just to give myself more workspace on the right-hand side here. So great application here for reporting and budgeting. We do sell those modules separately, so you might just need the reporting piece of Prospero. That's fine. You might just need the budgeting piece. That's fine as well. Helps you on the cost to get this up and running. Implementations, we can get this on your servers or our servers pretty quickly. If you are a current user of Management Reporter, FRX, or Forecaster, we've got migration options, so you don't have to start from scratch. We can copy those definitions over from those legacy Microsoft applications over to Prospero. That way you save a lot of time and money getting Prospero up and running and using that right away. Now, the next step for you, if you are curious about looking at Prospero for your organization, what do you do next? Let me jump over to just a last slide here with you. We encourage you to contact us, email us, info@msxgroup.com. Be glad to set up a private demo with you. We can also set you up with a free 30-day trial site, so you get hands-on using Prospero with our demo data, or even with your own company data, your chart of accounts, your account balances and such. And we can send you a no obligation quote as well to get you an idea about how much the cost would be to set Prospero up for your organization. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm glad you could see a little bit about Prospero here for financial reporting and budgeting and analysis. Hopefully we'll hear from you on an email, info@msxgroup.com, and get you set up with Prospero as soon as possible. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.